Well, I've been waiting for this for a good while. Resident Evil 4 is getting a remake, and it's coming out within a few weeks. Yeah! And with that, I decided to play some Resident Evil 4, and then compare them to the current game. Because why not? Now, since the demo only goes to what I refer to as the bingo point, I decided to get to the bingo point in all of the rest of the games. And you may be going, games? This is Resident Evil 4. I'm talking about multiple versions. Now, obviously, I don't currently own all of the versions, but I wish I did. The ones I'm missing out on currently are the Console HD edition, the Wii edition, and probably a couple others. But other than that, let's talk about some Resident Evil 4.
Resident Evil 4.
And let's begin with our most recent Resident Evil 4 in the lineup, the Chainsaw demo. Obviously, it looks great. If it looked any shittier, then I would be absolutely concerned. But as for the gameplay, it does feel a bit weird in comparison to regular Resident Evil 4, but it is a bit more fast-paced in comparison. And from playing the demo so far, it is pretty faithful, other than in level design, which is completely different. I mean, at least it does keep the experience fresh and new, especially for people going back to the original game to play that. But still yet, it is a bit weird. Now, I'm not gonna talk about the new Resident Evil 4 as much, mostly because it's still a demo. But what I have played of the demo, it is pretty good. But now, let's go back to the most recent full version of Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 HD for Xbox 360, PS3, and anything above that. It definitely doesn't look that bad. I mean, it's pretty much just a slightly upscaled GameCube game with better textures. And the gameplay still holds up relatively well. Driving around Leon like a car is still a bit weird though, using tank controls in third person. And standing still whenever you shoot, while not the worst thing, feels a little dated. But other than that, this is obviously the definitive version of the game as of current. We're not sure about the full release of the new Resident Evil 4, but we will see. There is, sadly, not much else I can say about current Resident Evil 4, because, well, it's Resident Evil 4, and if you haven't played Resident Evil 4, I'm going to call you stupid. But now, let's go back to where it all began. Here is the original GameCube version of Resident Evil 4. Now obviously, this is the inferior version, as it is missing content compared to, well, anything past the PS2 port. But of course, it is Resident Evil 4, so it's still good. All you're really missing out on is a few pieces of extra content, such as the Ada campaign and a few special weapons. But it's still Resident Evil 4, the base game, so it's still Resident Evil 4, and it's still really good. Now obviously, playing this game was a bit weird because I switched from keyboard immediately to GameCube controller. Obviously, the GameCube controller is really good, but it felt weird transitioning like that. But with that out of the way, we still have one more version to talk about. And no, it is not the Wii version. Sadly, I don't have it anymore. No, instead it is the weirdest version of Resident Evil 4, and I had to dig out this for it. Oh look, it's my face. Say hello to Resident Evil 4 on the iPhone. This is also the version that is on the Brazilian Zeebo. Or is it Brazilian? I completely forgot, but I just know that it's called the Zeebo. Anyways, this is the weirdest version of Resident Evil 4. And I only got to play it for like 2 minutes. Yeah, my iPhone 5 has like a absolutely horrendous battery right now. But honestly, when else am I going to be talking about Resident Evil 4 on the iPhone? And all I can really say is, here it is. It looks absolutely horrendous, it plays absolutely horrendous, and for some reason, I have the maxed out pistol with only pistol ammo, and no other gun. I guess the pistol was just too good of a weapon in this game. Now sadly, I have the light version of this game, which means you only get the first 2 missions. If you wanted to play everything else, you would either have to buy them all separately, or you would have to get the deluxe version, as I'm going to call it. Funnily enough, I actually did have one of these episode packs, and it doesn't work anymore, which is tragic, because now that means I'm missing out on 2 missions that I'm technically supposed to own. Now, out of all of these, the regular version of Resident Evil 4 is pretty much the same. As for the current Resident Evil 4, it still has the same kind of start, but it's structured completely differently. But with that all said, those are all of the Resident Evil 4s that I own currently. So when the remake is released, I'm probably going to be talking about all the games in their entirety, but as of right now, we're only touching down on Bingo Point. Except for you, iPhone, you died too quickly. I don't know how to make outros, but goodbye.